Good morning, Southwest. Today is Tuesday, January 21st, and this is Tiger Talk.
In the heart of Minnesota where the eagles soar high, Southwest Middle School, shining like the sky. In the halls we roam free, learning life every day. With our friends, it's a breeze, together we'll find our way. All Southwest, we stand strong in every class and along. From the playground to the arts, you light up our hearts. Teachers guide with a smile through each challenge we face. Every moment's worthwhile in this special place.
All right, hopefully everyone had a great extended weekend here and survived the cold. Here is a quick look at this week's agenda, but like always, let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Just in case you forgot from last week, remember our mission is to ensure individual academic, social, and emotional growth that leads to engaged citizens and lifelong learners. And our core values are respect, determination, showing ownership, and being a positive leader. And of course, our current Southwest standout student, Brenner, exhibits these four qualities each and every day here at Southwest. So again, congratulations to Brenner as he is still Southwest standout student. Right, and we are entering our third week of January. Because of the shorter week, there will not be a greeting this week for our circles, just the activity inside-outside shape. And of course, our monthly theme is centered around cultural awareness. And students, yesterday you had school off because of Martin Luther King Day. Here is a short video on the important work Martin Luther King did for this country.
Dr. King, a leader and a hero. Do you recognize this man? People all over the world know his face. They know his name. Now you will too. This is Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and he was an American hero. Dr. King was born in Atlanta, Georgia on January 15th, 1929. That was more than 90 years ago. Here's a picture of Martin when he was 6 years old. He loved riding his bike, playing baseball, and eating ice cream. Martin's best friend was a boy who lived nearby, but that changed one day when his friend told him they couldn't play together anymore. His friend was white, and Martin was black. His friend's father didn't want his son playing with a black child. This made Martin sad and angry. He didn't understand why he couldn't play with his friend. During that time, there were laws in parts of our country that kept white people and black people apart. Keeping people apart like this is called segregation. The law said that black people and white people had to go to different schools, parks, and restaurants. The schools and parks for black people were often old and run down. The schools and parks for white people had newer books and better playgrounds. In some states, black and white people were not allowed to use the same water fountains and bathrooms. Buses were segregated too. When Martin was all grown up, the laws hadn't changed. He and many other people knew these laws were unfair, and the laws made him very angry. But he was a peaceful man. He did not want to use violence to change the laws. So what did he do? Dr. King used his words. He wrote letters, newspaper articles, and even books. He wanted to persuade people to end segregation. He organized marches. He led big groups of people as they walked through streets. They all thought the laws were wrong. other people saw these marches and began to ask themselves, are these laws really fair? Dr. King also gave speeches. He spoke in front of thousands of people. In 1963, Dr. King gave his most famous speech at a big march in Washington, D.C. He talked about his dreams for the future. He said he believed that someday the world would be a better place.
My four little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today.
Dr. King's words made people feel hopeful. When he spoke, the crowd cheered and clapped. Some people cried and hugged each other. They also believed the time had come for things to change. His dream helped other people dare to dream too. There were still some people who didn't want the laws to change. They were angry with Dr. King for trying to change them. They tried to hurt him and his family. That was scary. But Dr. King was brave. He didn't let those people stop him. He kept working. He knew he was doing what was right. Dr. King was a great leader. He inspired many people. He made them feel brave and strong. He made them believe that together they could make a change. It can be hard for one person to change the world on his or her own. But when thousands of people work together, they can make a big difference. And they did. It took a long time, but the laws of segregation did finally change. Dr. King's leadership and hard work helped make the world a better place. Dr. King is no longer with us. Still, people remember him and continue his good work. We celebrate him every year in January on his birthday. On this day, we take time to think about his life and what he did for our country. But you can celebrate him every day. You can spread his message of love, peace, and fairness by treating others with kindness and respect.
All right, students, remember, we set a new goal at 10 tardies per class on average. This last week, 6th graders just missed that, and 7th graders were off by a little as well. As you can see here, the biggest improvement would be during that advisory time. So I know it's a short 5 minutes to get from the gym to your classrooms, but please make sure you are using your time wisely so that way you can reach this goal. And congratulations to these 4 students as they are this week's Attendance Matter Prize winners. You see your name here, please come on down to the attendance office after the Tiger Talk. Again, these are randomly awarded to students who have 4 or less days of absences this school year. And students, I know you hear me talk a lot about attendance here on the Tiger Talk. There is a reason. We want each one of you to have consistent attendance. We want to avoid being chronically absent, and as you can see there, that is when students miss 10% of the school year or more, whether it's excused or unexcused. That equates to 17 school days this school year. As you can see, here's just a few effects of what chronic absenteeism has on students. As you can see, it not only affects your grades, but also has an impact on your friendship circles, has impacts on your future employability, and also on your social emotional development. It is very important that you attend school on a regular basis. And here is a quick look at how we are doing this school year so far. So that second column there shows us the percent of students who are on pace to have consistent attendance, meaning that they are going to be at school 90% of the school day or more. The last column shows us how many students are already considered to be chronically absent. So you can see we have 12 out of our 515 students who are already considered to be chronically absent. Again, when we say attendance matters, it definitely does. All right, and pretty exciting day. We start our school-wide book read here today. All 6th and 7th graders will be reading Sticks and Stones by Minnesota author Abby Cooper. She will be visiting us on the Friday before spring break as well. And she has written other books as well. And so when she comes on Friday before spring break, if you are interested, students, you can order a book ahead of time, and she will not only bring it here for you, but she will have a signed personal copy for you as well. These order forms can be picked up in the office, or you can ask your reading and ELA teacher for more information. Speaking of orders, if you are interested in a yearbook, orders are due Friday, March 21st, and the cost of a yearbook is $20. All right, students, and I know as we enter into middle school years, we start to get funky orders and things like that come from our body. However, I'm going to ask you to refrain from using body sprays, especially in the bleachers, in the locker rooms, and bathrooms. Again, deodorant is okay, but we do not want to use body sprays. And this week's Happening Around Southwest brings us to our 7th grade history class as they learned hands-on about the assembly line. The assembly line was a huge game changer for American auto industries and other businesses across the country. It was made famous by Henry Ford in 1913, still used by businesses across the world today. All right, and just your weekly reminder to make sure to fill out a Tiger's Den form if you are in need of any of the following products. Again, it is completely anonymous and completely free for students. All right, and we have the way too early Q3 points totals tallied up, and currently right now, here is where the teams stand. All right, students, so we have no emergency drills scheduled for this week. Again, drill or a real-life scenario, we will try to give you as much information over the PA system as we can. All right, students, just a reminder, we do have our new activities eligibility policy in full force. We are going to be having our first grade check next week. So again, if you are failing a class, you will need to get a grade slip signed by each of your teachers showing that you are passing their classes before you are eligible to play in a game. Here's a look at this week's forecast. And 7th grade students, if you are interested in being a part of the Clay Target team or just learning more about what the Clay Target team is, there are 2 informational meetings happening at the Albert Lea High School Commons area. This will be on January 26th and February 23rd, both of those at 1 p.m. All right, let's take a look. Last week, our boys basketball had their first home game here against the Stewartville Tigers. Here's a couple of video highlights of that game. Really some great ball movement and passing here by the Albert Lea Tigers.
Oh my God, he's back.
Later on in the game, a made free throw here by T. And by random chance, I just happened to be at the same tournament that our traveling team was on Sunday. Here they are taking on Faribault. Some might say here, Israel went coast to coast. And here's what we have on deck this week for Home Southwest events. Thursday, our wrestlers have a home triangular that starts at 4:30. And it's Positive Collection Week this week, students. Make sure to bring your positives down with you to lunch on Friday. Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode. You have yourself a Tigerific week, everyone.